Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and we are starting a little bit of a series, maybe not too much of a series, of Kerbal Space Program now that it has hit version 1.0 and is out of its consideration of itself being early access, I suppose. I think there's a lot more that you could be doing, that they are going to do. I think they'll add entire planets and perhaps even add entire other solar systems. What we're going to start off with is we are going to do the training of each episodes just to show everybody how to play Kerbal Space Program if you've never played it before. It is a very complicated, basically NASA simulator for the Americans, or space agency simulator, I guess would be more generalized, except for we're not particularly on the planet Earth and we're not particularly dealing with humans, we're dealing with Kerbals, these green guys. We're going to do the training and then we're going to try and do the scenarios, and then I'm going to think about what I can do to start a new game of the regular game. Now, one thing I want to admit is that even though you're watching this at 1080p 60, for the training I went into the graphics setting and set it to 1280 720. That is because there is no feature, at least that I can see, that lets you make the graphics, the text, the on-screen text bigger. This flight UI size I thought would have been something, but I tried it all the way to the maximum here and it still didn't increase that size. So for the training we're going to have a low resolution that's going to get upscaled, is being upscaled by my computer, and then when we start playing the game and stop seeing the on-screen text to a drastic amount, we are going to go back up to 1080p and get that higher resolution. That is always the problem with resolution. The higher it is, the smaller the text will become unless they adjust for that. So let's see, accept that. Load screen into the main menu, which is never a great thing, but it's not super long. So let's start with construction bases. This tutorial presented by the famous rocket scientist Wernher von Kerman himself covers the basics of rocket construction in the vehicle assembly building. He's waiting for you down there and is always in high demand, so don't dally. So the very beginning of Kerbal Space Program is you've got to build your ship. So this tutorial, this episode, is just going to be first game mechanic of several game mechanics in Kerbal Space Program. I'd say it has about 4 or 5 different, very unique but interconnected game mechanics, which is an interesting way to make a game, for sure. Most games would just give you a rocket and say, go right now, but no, you've got to build it. Anyway, so here's vessel construction tutorial. This is the text I'm talking about right here. Can't find this option. There's more than likely going to be a mod, or is a mod that would make this bigger, but I can't read it at 1080p, sorry. Welcome to today's lecture on vessel construction. I'm Wernher von Kerman. He's a named character. There are several new named characters. They used to not exist at all in earlier versions. Just training and tutorials used to not exist at all. So you'd have to go on to YouTube to see other people explain what you're supposed to be doing at all, or you'd just be confused. Anyways, whether you want to put a satellite in the orbit, fly a transcontinental flight, or step onto the very surface of the moon, MUN, because this is not the solar system that we live in. The solar system is what we live in, because the name at least one of the names of our star is Sol, S-O-L. You're going to need to build a ship to get yourself in there. I am digressing, sorry about that. One thing I definitely would like in Kerbal Space, a program at some point, is that they just come out with our world, our solar system, as a sister, so that we could really run the numbers and try and get the math exactly right. So you could actually do it. It's kind of silly that we start on this fake, in this fake solar system where the planets are different and the gravities and sizes are all different. I think they probably do that to secretly make it easier on us. This should be pretty easy even if you're not a famous rocket scientist like myself. Next, first part is required for any vessel is a command module. This part will either contain a plucky Kerbal crew or an automated pilot mechanism. Select the command module from the parts list. Well, there's not much choice to choose from. Go ahead and add it to the command module. So there are a lot more parts that you unlock as you play, but they're going to keep it limited here. So we start here with the Mark 1 command module. It has a whole bunch of numbers. It has a mass, a crash tolerance, a max temperature, a crew capacity, electric charge, and the amount of propellant. All of that will come into consideration eventually, but not for a while in your game, early game. The cost is a new feature, however, that will be a consideration, because you do now have to buy parts for your ship. Before you could just all willy-nilly build your ships and blow them up and it would cost you nothing. Now if you blow up your ship, you've lost your money. And that means you want to land as many parts as you can safely back on the planet of Kerbal so you can recover your ship. Now there is no game mechanic to recover the ship, it's just a button. So that's automated. If you right click, you get even more information. that all of which is not going to be really necessary right now. All you have to do right now is just left click. And that's it. That's the beginning of this vertical rocket in the vertical construction building, which is where we are. We're going to build a rocket. It's going to be wheeled out on a platform over there to the launch pad. Interesting choice. It's not what a famous Kerbal rocket scientist like me would have chosen, but you're just starting, so you don't have that many parts available. Well done. If you ever need to move a vessel around on the screen, you can pick it up by clicking on the root part, in this case the command pod. Moving the vessel will allow it to fit more parts beneath it. Also, if you ever need more information on a specific part, just hover the mouse cursor above it in the toolbox, and right-clicking it will give you even more information. So you just hover, right-click, and usually that would allow it. So, fuel tank, and right mouse button, more information, left mouse button. So, interesting that you can toggle back and forth there. So, next thing we need is some fuel to burn. Select, well, the only fuel tank on the left. You really need to start researching. You're missing out on all the cool parts. I'll explain science and research to you later. Basically, you have to collect science as a currency in this game. You use it to research and unlock better parts. Better parts allow you to fly easier and get further in the universe. Well, solar system. You can't really exit the solar system. Well, you technically could, but last time I checked, you can never get past the gravity of the sun, the star. So if you can't technically get past the gravity, you can't leave the solar system. So no real universe in that sense. I'm gonna speed up a little bit and not read everything he says. We add the fuel tank. They're giving us paragraphs to tell us just to click here and click there. And not too bad. You might just be getting the hang of this. Now just add some rockets. Select the one you have available. Now, some of the stats on the rockets when you start having two options will come into play earlier than a lot of the other stats. Things like what the max thrust in ASL versus the max thrust variable means something. I don't recall it being called that though. I think there's the max thrust ASL probably is how fast it can get when you're still in an atmosphere, and then the max thrust within a vacuum is probably the bigger number. Often rocket ships will be able to go faster in the vacuum of space than they will be in the friction of an atmosphere. However, there are engines that work better in the atmosphere because they need oxygen, and if they get too high in the atmosphere, they slow down and stop working altogether. So, looking good. You remind me of a younger, less experienced, considerably less famous version of myself. Werner von Kerman seems to think very highly of himself. Maybe he deserves it, maybe he doesn't. Next. So, Stager. You have noticed the new icon on the lower right of your, when you added the rocket. That's called the stage. Now they're talking about this icon right here. Let me just take a moment here and point out all the icons, and a lot of these have moved since the last time I played Kerbal Space Ages, or been redone. These right now are being redone. I think this is probably weight. I don't know. This is the center of gravity, this is the thrust, this is like airflow, which you wouldn't really use. I can't even click on any of them. All of these are different part categories. They used to be at the top. Last time I played, you won't be able to sort by name, mass, cost, or size. These buttons here are brand new to me. Some of these buttons are brand new to me. So there's been a lot of things changed. But they're just talking, these right here are contracts that we'll get into in a later episode. That's brand new to me. You have here a start over fresh, new file basically, load and save, and it's not saving files as much as it is saving your rocket builds. So if you build a rocket you really love, save it, give it a name, and then you have the launch, and then you have exit, which usually when you click this exit will take you to your flight agency, but in this scenario it would probably just take you back to the menu. Anyway, so here's a plus button if you wanted to add a stage, and here's the minus button if you want to get rid of that stage. And I guess you could get rid of this stage, but you have to have at least one. So what happens on stages is every time you press the space button, you activate a stage. We only have one real item that can do anything attached to our ship. You can't do anything really with the command pod. You can't do anything with the fuel tank, but you can either turn on, or potentially you could maybe turn off. I don't know if you can stage the turning off of a rocket. Some of them you can right click and turn off, but I don't know if you can put it in a stage. That's an interesting question. Alright. Let's see, radial attachments. Some parts are designed to be attached to the surface of others radially, allowing that you build intricate radial structures and attach even more rockets. The particular part we have here is a decoupler. What this kind of part does is to cause a tiny explosion that separates the parts in the previous stage from the rest of it. This is especially helpful in getting rid of depleted fuel tanks. So they want us to use now attach some of these decouplers to the vessel. You can use the two large buttons in the bottom left screen to control how the editor duplicates and snaps to surface mounted parts. After you add some, try also attaching some solid fuel boosters to those decouplers. You'll find those in the engines tab. Alright, so I think we can start doing it. So right now you have your symmetry mode, which is at 1. So if I click here, it would only attach 1. But you can do 2, and then there'll be 2 on 180 degrees. Or you can do 3, and then there'll be 3 on about 33.3 degrees. Well, no, that's not right. About 120 degrees would be 3, wouldn't it? 4 would be 60 degrees, or no, 90. Yeah, 90 degrees apart. Why am I talking in degrees when I don't know? And then you can do 6. They skip 5. You can't do a star shape, at least automatically. Or you can do 8. So they skip 7. Can't do another star shape. So let's stick with 3 here. And next to here you have angle snap, where you can have it snap to specific angles. So if you wanted to have it snap and be a little bit more mathematically strict, leave it on the hexagon angle snap versus the circle angle snap. Let's see, we need to get engines. Here's the engines tabs. Come over here and we grab some of these solid fuel rocket boosters and we put them. The trick here, which is a little bit weird, is you gotta get the mouse right over what you want to connect to. So we want to connect that, even though we can't see that when we get over it. That's what we want to click. Otherwise, might accidentally attach it just to the side of the fuel tank, and then the decouplers aren't going to work that well. So by doing that, now we have a stage 2, and it works its way down to stage 0. That's going to shoot these rockets. And then we're going to have a stage 1 that gets rid of these rockets when they're out of fuel. And then we'll have a stage 0 that fires the center rocket. So, let's see if these buttons. Offset. Options. No. Place. Rotate. Haven't figured out this offset button is the one that I want to adjust, but it's not working the way I want it to. Interesting. There we go. You have to click the arrow. That's why. So I want to offset it down a little bit, just to show the center of mass here. This orange bulb. By offsetting it, them closer towards the center of mass versus further away. Which probably should be closer to the center of mass. And then you can have the center of thrust, which is all pointing down right now. And then you can have the center of lift, which you have no lift because you have no wings. Oh, so let's see what we haven't been paying a lot of attention to Warner von Kerman. This is a typical gamer going through a tutorial, really paying attention, doing whatever we want to do. The ship looks interesting. If you want to modify whether the parts are activated during the flight, you can click and drag wherever you want. So if I wanted this to activate first, I could click and drag it all the way down here to the second one. I can click and drag these 3, which are bundled together because we used this tool to so that they're all together. But a little bit of a bug was that we use the decoupler in three too, and it split them up. They're still working out the kinks, and they will be for probably a while, but this is definitely a playable game. It doesn't typically crash or give you lots of trouble. If you want to see the center of mass, lift, thrust, you can use these three buttons. We already did that, so we'll skip it. Saving your ship, you should probably bring to your attention that if you just started your space career, you don't have any decouplers available in career mode. Last but not least, make sure you assign a name to your vessel by selecting the name box and then save it. So we can name it just clicking here. So instead of calling it Untitled Spacecraft, we can call it Spacecraft. And then save it right there. And I just click it, and then I guess it saves. You can't click the load button. Ready, looks like our time is almost up. I have to give you yet another scientific briefing to the world's media. I've been pointing out that you have very few parts and you should do some research to unlock more. If you don't know how to do this, join me for the science tutorial. For now, I will unlock all the parts and let you play around. Click on the tabs on the far left to view the different parts category. Please show yourself out of the construction facility with the red button at the top right when you're done experimenting. Auf Wiedersehen. I do not believe that is spelled correctly to say Auf Wiedersehen, or now I can't even pronounce it right. Anyways, so now all the parts of the entire game right now, unless you get a mod, are unlocked. There's all kinds of things, some of which are not loading the graphics. There are more aerodynamic cockpits for building planes and space planes. There are lander cans and command pods that hold 3 crew, inline command pods for airplanes. You'll see these flat ones that are aerodynamic. You'll see these round ones that are called lander cans to land. You'll have satellite technology, so you don't have to send a crewman out there. You can have remote guidance units, the Stay Put Nick, miniaturization. They will definitely make some more things too. So here's the button for your crew. And of the available crew, you always start off with Jebediah Kerman, and right now he's in the command pod right here, ready to fly. Bob and Bill Kerman, I don't know if in the real game you start off with them. These are at 5 stars experience level, which is a new system. I don't know what the bars here mean. Maybe that just means he's at the next level. Fill up the bar to get a star. So that's pretty cool. You have action groups where you can program and get into some really complex programming where pressing a button will do several things, and you might even pre-program some launch things, but typically most people do it by hand. You have all kinds of fuel tanks you're going to unlock. As you unlock things, you'll be able to look at all these numbers and figure out what they're worth. You want the smallest mass or the most amount of fuel you can take in a fuel tank, because you want it to weigh the least. Often the problem when building a ship, you'll make it so heavy because of all the fuel that you'll waste more fuel trying to go forward and out of the atmosphere than it was required to even have the fuel in the first place. So it's a very delicate balance of the system, which you will see next episode, because we are going to fly next episode and try and get out of the atmosphere. There's all kinds of things that you would look at. A lot of these things I haven't, not a lot of them, but a good amount of these parts I haven't played with. So I'm looking forward to putting them in the command and control things, advanced inline stablers, reaction wheels, fly-by-wire hubs. Let's see. This way you could have fly a ship without having a pilot in it. Some rocket-controlled ports, Werner engine. Might have to look at that and see what that's about. Yeah, some structural things so you can build more unique things with the structural parts. You could. One of the very first things I'll probably try to do is use some of these structural panels to build like a rover and just drive around on the planet to get science. If you can build a car out of rocket parts and just drive around, get a few bits of science. One of the things you'll definitely want is these couplers, where you can have 3 rockets coming off of one, so you don't have to do a system like this, where you could instead just have, let's see, right click and drag to change it, to change your view. The tutorial did not tell you that. Zooming, mouse wheeling up and down scrolls you. I don't know if there is a zoom in or zoom out button, at least not pre-programmed. But this coupler, if you had this here, you could have 4 closer together and you would have them more towards the middle, so a more stable play. You have stability enhancers for your beginning of your launch, so you would have that match the edges and just hold it. And let's see, add this. Well, typically what you want to do is fire the rockets and then release the stability things real fast afterwards. That way you can get some thrust going. There's all kinds of plane parts that you really wouldn't use too much, as far as wings or air intake to for what is this? A rocket ship or a spaceship, but there is a whole nother part of this game where you build airplanes and space planes. That's what that's all for. There's some advanced grabbing unit. Haven't seen that one. That one's new. That's interesting. There's some couplers and docking ports. It is possible to build one ship, get it into orbit, and then build another ship and dock with it. You can have like a fueling station in orbit outside of your atmosphere. Spend a lot of your gas getting outside of the atmosphere, dock with a fueling station, refill your gas, and then spend that gas getting even further. So that would really help. It would take multiple launches, but it'll get you further. Thermal generators to get electricity through the solar panels. Thermal and solar both technically get energy from the sun, one from the heat from the sun, one from the light from the sun. Parachutes, very, very useful. Let's see, let's go ahead and put a parachute right on top, so that we can land this thing and not have it fall apart. Wheels, definitely going to work well on building a rover. You get on the moon or a different planet and you drive around. There are different continents, I would say, sections of the planets, or at least some of the planets. I know the moon at least, and eventually there will be different sections of all the planets, I bet. And if you can land one rocket ship on the moon and then have it drive around to all the continents, it can get more science and do more research. Service bay, that sounds new. You can have battery packs, which will definitely helpful if you're trying to just use solar. Often you'll run out of power. And then you have what are your most important parts? The parts that get you more parts is your science tab here. With the thermometer, this one's new, the atmospheric thing. There used to be a device called the pressure sensor. Maybe this is replacing it. It would only work in the atmospheres. You have a COM port to transmit your information back to your base. So when you do an experiment with like the thermometer, the too hot thermometer here, you then get some science that you have to either hold on to in like a paper form and bring back physically with your ship, or you can transmit it. But if you transmit it, often it will get you less science. I guess there's some noise in the transmission or something is the theory there. So there is also only one of each unique things without doing some tricks can be done. So if you get some research off the thermometer in a specific area, you can't do the same research in the same area and double your science or anything like that. There are some tricks to kind of do something like that, but not quite. Seismic accelerator to get more science. Gravity measurer. Let's see. A narrowband scanner, that's new to me. Survey scanner, that's new. A processing lab. This is a new thing where if you take the science you get from something else and you process it, you will get more science back from it. You're going to start off with the mystery goo containment unit. That'll get you some science. Here's the pressure unit, so this is totally new. And then you have the science junior, which gets you some more. And this one's new, service game module. So they've pretty much doubled the number of things you can get science off of, which is definitely cool. But yeah, and we can certainly put all of those things on, but since this is a scenario that doesn't really matter, there's no real reason what happens when I enable advanced mode. All kinds of filters. That's totally new. That is weird. I'll leave that there, but I'll probably not mess with it. Let's see if we can launch this thing. No, we can't. Oh, that's a shame. So, that's the first training scenario, construction basics, and we went past the basics a lot, looking at things. Next episode, we're gonna do flight basics and try that. Hopefully, we succeed on the first try. Otherwise, you're gonna become very familiar with the reverting back to launch feature. The rewinding feature of this game, where if you make a mistake and your flight's not going well, you can just rewind it back to a quick save if you quick saved, or you can rewind it back to the beginning of the launch, which is a default quick save that always happens. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this. We're gonna do somewhat of a mini-series, at least for the training and scenarios, and then I'll probably play the game. I have just the smallest amount of fear playing Kerbal Space Program because playing it can take a lot of time, and I do a lot of other games. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, and please do that now, but also click on my name, Rydo, go on the playlist, see all the games I've done. I'm releasing new episodes for about 4 things right now, every Monday through Friday. If you're subscribed, you'll see a new episode every day for 4 different games, and so this kind of makes, I think, this might be 4, this might be 5. I'm doing Minecraft, I'm doing Plague Inc., I'm doing Bastion, I'm doing Hearthstone, so yeah, this is number 5. I wanted to get this out because it was new and all of that, and hopefully that was it. I end all my episodes the same way. I ask you to like this video, I ask you to share it with your friends, I ask you to subscribe again sometimes, Comment down below if I missed anything super important. If you were playing this game yourself, yes, you would spend the time to probably read everything the training tutorial says, but I'm gonna skip over a lot of it. They are kind of long paragraphs for a game, but this is a very slow-paced game for the type of people that likes to really think when they're playing. This is not a run and gun shooter type mentality of a game. Also, I ask that you watch every second of my videos because that helps me with YouTube. A lot of people don't know that. If you just start watching a video then you wander away, that hurts me. If you want to support me further, I'm a new YouTuber, sorta. I mean, I've been doing it since the beginning of the year, so relatively new. If you want to support me, this is my only job. You can do that two ways. One is clicking on my name, Rydo. That gets you to my main YouTube page. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. You just click that and donate whatever you feel like. It will be greatly appreciated. The other way you can support me is through the Amazon.com affiliate link in the description. Just click on that and shop normally. That's all you got to do. If you want to follow me or friend me on practically any social media site, including Steam and Battle.net, all that information is down below in the description also. Thank you for watching this. Stay tuned for the next episode. Have a good evening.